Hello everyone and dear game lovers. Welcome to the Steam Nextfest. Today we'll be sharing details about that release, accompanied by our community and representative Yara. Hello Yara, how are you?
Thank you for asking. I'm fine. How about you?
I'm fine, thanks. So, here is the first question. Where it came from the studio name?
In our opinion, many people who are interested in producing games prefer to work at night. For example, most people in our studio think the same way. We can be much more productive and work more efficiently at night. Nyctophile means loving the night and the dark and being more peaceful, productive in the dark of night than in the daytime. That's why we decided that the name Nyctophile Studios will be more suitable for us. Our studio name still reflects us exactly. During the development process of Dead Relives, we continue to work more actively and productively at night. We are adventurers of the night.
Yes, it sounds so cool. Here is the second question. What is the origin story about that release?
Bahtiyar Ardin, who is also the leader of Nyctophile Studios and this project, has served the game industry in Turkey as a designer for years. He also supported other game studios. At this point, we can easily say that he has contributed a lot to the development of the game ecosystem in Turkey. For him, the theme of fear and the content in this area have always been interesting. Bakhtiar not only deals with the theme, but also embraces the artistic language behind his horror productions and has continued his research and education since a young age in order to improve himself in this direction. And he's also a true adrenaline junkie. Even as a child, he's a kid who enjoys walking through the streets full of stray dogs for adrenaline and can repeat this on a regular basis. For him, who still puts adrenaline and fear at the center of his life, it was an inevitable fact that he will not make a horror game. So many things that Reliefs has are, of course, a reflection of the inner world of him.
We are thanks to Bahtiyar for him vision and absolutely dogs.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you decide that release name?
A lot of people put a lot of effort into making games that their name should be special and qualified. There are even game projects that are shaped just by the name of the game. However, the Dead Reliefs project goes beyond the usual patterns and standards. The name Death Reliefs was decided towards the middle of the project. The name of the game was decided at a team meeting. As a matter of fact, I think that's what makes the name Dead Reliefs special. This sounds pretty cool as well. It also shows that it is a common decision of the team involved in the production process of the game.
So, we talked about that Lives project and Nyctophile Studio. Why did you choose Aztec Mythology? Because we have so many popular mythologies, like a Scandinavian, Egypt, or Greek. I think this is a little risky. Why did you pick the Aztec mythology?
The reason why we use Aztec mythology is actually a matter of vision. There are many interesting mythologies in the world. Mythologies such as Scandinavian, Greek, and Egyptian mythology are handled by the game by many groups. However, many filmmakers don't see or ignore the perfect structure behind Aztec mythology. In fact, we are taking risks by talking about Aztec mythology to ourselves. Due to the fans of the usual mythological games, it can certainly attract attention in some way. However, at this point, we wanted to take a risk and reveal the mysteriously interesting stories and elements behind Aztec mythology and share them with the players. Also, as that reliefs, we wanted to be different from our peers and to differ from them in many ways. On this path, Aztec mythology was the right choice for us. When starting the That Relives project, necessary preliminary studies were carried out considering these situations. For That Relives, the necessary directives were given to the game design and scenario team of the game. There are three main basic elements in the given directives. These were the priests of the Aztec mythology, Xipe Totec, and again quite prominent in Aztec mythology. Together with the creative director of the game, the general aspect of the game was decided long ago to be based on these three main bases.
I know a cool story about that ritual. I think it's so cool. So, can you explain us what is the death whistle?
The death whistle is actually a pretty scary and murderous instrument. As a human being, it is impossible not to shudder when you listen to or imagine the story of how it was made and used. The death whistle is an instrument the Aztecs used to signal war. This instrument is made using a real human skull and various stones. The Aztecs used the death whistle to put psychological pressure on the enemy during the war. According to another rumor, the death whistle was also used in sacrificial pains. When we heard this story, we were impressed and realized how cool it was. Right after we learned this information, we searched to see if we could reach this product. However, it was impossible to find anything like this in our geography. We realized that we couldn't order the death whistle from abroad, especially due to the difficulties of being an independent studio. But also, we wanted to own this product somehow and hear the sound it makes and reflect that sound to the game. We found the solution in 3D printing. After deep research, we found the 3D data of the death whistle and produced it with a printer, Borajan, and thanks to him here. The sound designer in our game took advantage of this instrument and recorded the sound and variations of the whistle. In Death Relives, you can witness the sound of this instrument in many different areas and situations.
Okay, I know the Aztec mythology a little bit. Xipe Totec is so important for Aztecs. Can you explain for us who is the Xipe Totec?
Xipe Totec actually means skinned person in the Nahdu language. I mean, one of the ancient languages that is beginning to disappear. Xipe Totec is an important god in ancient Mesoamerican culture. For Toltecs and Aztecs, this god is very important and has a great influence. During the history and mythology, many societies and formations and even natural events have been associated with it. Xipe Totec finds a place in mythology as the god of spring, the god of seeds and plantings, gemstone workers, and miners. Xipe Totec is also known as the god of death and vegetation in time. The god, who had numerous titles and renown, was additionally portrayed as the invasion of war. Xipe Totec, which you saw in Death Relives, was designed by our creative director Bahtiyar. The first drafts and early studies produced during the production process were mostly for Xipe Totec in creature form. The first drafts and early studies produced during the production process were mostly for Xipe Totec in creature form. After a long discussion with the script team, it was decided that it will be a better decision to evolve Xipe Totec into a more divine appearance. The Xipe Totec design, which you can see in the current version of the game, has emerged accompanied by data collected after deep search on the internet and intense forum shifts. Despite all this, artistic designs and works continue for Xipe Totec. Of course, the works now continue with more minor touches rather than major works. However, We can say that Xipe Totec is still a growing character with the game.
Every developer knows so difficult process to developing progress. What problems did you have during the development phase?
During the development phase, the biggest problem we have at this process is actually a bit of dramatic situation. It is not possible to bring dev console kits to Turkey. Our country has a different tax and custom service. Dev kits, on the other hand, are not devices known to the people working here, not much is known about what they are actually. Therefore, since they don't understand and don't know what giant kits are, they can't identify the product, and therefore they generally don't allow us to bring it to our country. For a long time, we tried to explain what the PlayStation Dev Kits is for, and that is not a harmful product. And finally, we were able to overcome these problems as a result of long efforts. But unfortunately, these and similar problems still exist in our country. Another problem we experienced during the development process is, of course, the economic problems. When you have a studio that tries to do business at world standards due to the inflation and exchange rate differences, it is not possible for you to compete economically. Therefore, at this point, we have to expect dedication and understanding from the employees. We hope that by achieving success in the game, we can make our employees happier people and offer them much more opportunities and economic power, who are actually true heroes.
Which game did you draw inspiration from while developing Death Relives, like Outlast or Resident Evil?
You know, the game world is huge and there are many huge productions. And in our opinion, some plays are artistic productions that also have literary values. There are some games that show excellent work with the fan bases they have. Since our main theme is fear, the games we inspired were successful examples of these genres. The first of these productions is, of course, Alien Isolation. Alien Isolation is an excellent game. You stay locked with an alien in an area with borders and you struggle to survive by playing corner snatch. We also took a lot of inspiration from Alien Isolation in Death Relives. And in addition, there were things that inspired us from big brands such as Outlast, as you said, and Resident Evil. Without the inspirational contributions of these productions, our game might not be at this level today. We mentioned the code names of the horror world, the Resident Evil and Outlast series with respect and love.
You said a project is inspired Alien Isolation, Outlast, and Resident Evil. So, what makes Death Relives special?
Actually, there are many factors that make Death Relives special, but as a studio, we can focus on two main things. These are the unique and rich story of the game, and of course, the AI system of the hilarious Xipe Totec. In addition, our achievements in the game may be one of the additional content that makes Death Relives rare. We designed the achievements in the game based on real Aztec mythology and legends. In this case, the player will feel cool after completing an achievement, which is at least what we aim for. Frankly, we try not to give much spoilers about the game in terms of story because for us, our story is quite original and believable. However, if I have to go around the subject, since it is one of the elements that make our game special, I can say the following. Aztec mythology is a very rich and full of mythology. It is difficult to fit the things in this mythology into a single game, but we plan to give the player goosebumps with the story we present to the player. While doing all this, we don't hold back from putting the player in different situations that they are not aware of with magnificent places and beautiful gameplay. And our artificial intelligence system in the game is designed in a sound-sensitive manner. I mean, we have assigned a certain numerical value to each sound element in the game. The points we mentioned are collected by the artificial intelligence system in the game and interact according to the sound score of Xipe Totec. As a result of this situation, Xipe Totec starts looking for us at home, or we can continue to progress in the game without wailing ourselves. In order to make progress in that release, it is very important to care about not revealing yourself in the game. If you act like carelessly and play the game like a noisy child by making a lot of noise, Xipe Totec will surely find you and he will punish you.
I want to ask a question. We talk about development process is difficult. Is still development process going as you wanted?
I don't know. As a game developers, and I think all game developers know that no game's development process goes smoothly and without any fault. Certainly, there are many problems during the development phase, and we try to overcome them somehow. We tried to face many problems during the death release, and we managed to overcome these problems with the intelligence of both our community and our teammates. We have an excellent energy as a team. This helps us not to run away from the problems we face and helps us fight them and find solutions to them. We are motivated our love of providing players with a unique and wonderful experience.
Okay, I think localization is so important for games. Relives have any localization plan, and which languages will Relives support?
Localization is an extremely important issue for us. However, unfortunately, we don't have much budget to allocate in this framework due to the fact that we are an independent game studio with a limited budget. We love to do localization studies for Death Relives, especially in European and Asian languages. In this context, we ask for help from our community members in the first place, and we try to carry out translation works with our own means. Rest assured that we will make language localization more professional over time after the game is released. As a country that knows about language localization as well as economic issues, you can be sure that we will do our best to offer country-specific pricing, and we will be player-friendly.
We talk about Aztec mythology, but we didn't talk about Aztec priests. Can you explain us what is the Aztec priest?
When you review Aztec mythology, you can see that priests are frequently mentioned in many myths. When you made a game inspired by Aztec mythology, we couldn't ignore the priests. So we decided it would be really cool to put these priests in the game and adapt to our game. Priests who are closely connected with their gods in mythology and are almost his servants are one of the main elements we use to increase the tension in the atmosphere of the game. There will be 3 different priest models in that release. The main purpose of each priest in the game is to serve Xipe Totec. In fact, we can say that priests are our second enemies in the game after Xipe Totec. Each of these priests, who will be in different types and variations in the game, will have their own characteristics. We can hide from the priests during the game. However, we haven't forgotten the players who don't like to be helpless in the games. Action level players can go after the priests and hunt if they wish. All these priest mechanics are designed to be suitable for Aztec mythology as the whole game. Of course, you can hunt the priest as we said, but you should think carefully whether this will benefit you. Because, sometimes balance can mean too much.
Some horror game is choosing the combat system. That Relives have any combat system? If answer is yes, how much is deeper?
While talking about priests, I mentioned that there will be a combat mechanic and action in the game. But our relationships with the priests are not our only action sequence. The tools and mechanics we will use to escape from Xipe Totec will also be included in the game. For example, as in every cool game, we will have a weapon that we can use in Death Relives, even if it's noisy. We will also be able to hide from our enemies by using our cloak, similar to the Harry Potter cloak, but made of human skin. Yeah, disgusting. I know. However, the cloak also has usage mechanics. Even at that point, we can say that we did our best to deepen the game. And last element, finally, we have a syringe. We don't want to give much information about it for now, but thanks to the syringe, which can be one of the coolest weapons in the history of the game, our enemies will be able to enter into different struggles.
So, I must ask this question. Death Relives have any story?
Aztec mythology comes first among the marketing tools of our game. As a game inspired by mythology, it is impossible not to have a story in Death Relives. We have been proceeding very sensitively and carefully in this regard since the very beginning of the project. In these times, when single-player games are on the decline and the task of storytelling is falling on the shoulders of independent games like ours, and we are doing our best to do our part. Maybe we don't have a big budget, and I know I said that before. We can do high production works, but we aim to give the players goosebumps with our main story.
You said you have a story. What does the story contain?
The story of Death Relives begins with the adventure of the main character in search of his mother. After the events, the game is about saving his mother from there. Adrian tries to make sense of the situation he is in, thanks to the notes left behind by the corpses he sees at home and their stories. In this way, his adventure begins. We have prepared a monologue system so that the players can emphasize with our main character during gameplay. We try to interpret the feelings and thoughts of the players on the screen with some monologue sentences expressed by Adrian during various events in the game.
How is the working condition on this project? Everything is okay?
COVID-19 has radically changed people's lives. In fact, it compelled us to do so. Working from home isn't all that bad. I really can say that, as many companies and people realize that we can work at home, and it works. Since the pandemic, we have been trying to make the game by working from home as a team. In addition, since we are a multinational team, it is not possible for us to gather our team members in a single country and in a single location for now. Everyone in the project is aware of their responsibilities. Even though the frequency changes according to the density, we make weekly and monthly plans by holding meetings on Discord. And you know that because you are there too. On a certain day or days or weeks, I don't know. Afterwards, we continue to carry out our business by sticking to the business plan as a team. We are a team that has been together for a long time. Therefore, we were no longer like coworkers. We turned into a group of friends who enjoy spending time with each other. For example, as a team, it is fun for all of us to deal with Yunus, who is still very young and working in the QA testing department. We eat meals together, chat, and play games. As a team, we don't just develop games, we create a family.
I know the game is almost done, but do you have any plan add extra to the game?
Of course, actually, we want that Relives to satisfy players, especially. In this context, we are planning to add new locations to the game. In addition to this, we will also carry the player outdoors. Therefore, we continue to work on outdoor spaces designed in accordance with authentic and mythology. That release is not yet the quality we want in terms of visual quality. And therefore, we will definitely be doing the necessary work to make the graphics better. And we will also deepen and refine the gameplay by adding moving physics to many more items. We work carefully on sums which are indispensable for a game. We can say that we have a special sensitivity towards this issue. We do our best to provide the player with a rich gaming experience in terms of both atmosphere sounds, music, and effects. And for the PlayStation version of that release, we are also working specially on DualSenses. We are busy making good use of this excellent technology of Sony and using haptic returns properly.
I know it says so hard, but I must ask this question. Do you have any estimated release date for that release?
How one of the biggest problems with being an independent studio is the difficulties of determining the release date of your game. Looking at our current phase, we can't wait to bring that release to the players after Gamescom. We are doing our best to release the game in the third quarter of this year. It seems that we will be able to achieve this goal as long as we don't experience any setbacks. Our game is now 75% complete, and a few additions and minor tweaks on top of the polishing will make the game final. However, the more time we spend on the project, the better experience we can offer players.
Thanks to you, Yaren, for this broadcast. Thank you.
Thanks for your
And
questions.
everybody, thank you too, guys. If you want to support us, you can follow our social media. And if you add to wishlist, our game is the best for us.